Tonight, we're going to talk about self-sabotage and 5 things that you can do to stop self-sabotage, but also just to break this cycle of self-sabotage that you might be in. So I'll get started right away. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so break the self-sabotage cycle. 5 simple shifts to finally see results. Please put a 1 in the comment if you can relate to any of these things, okay? Because I hear people say this stuff all the time, and I'm not perfect either. You know, I tend to do negative self-talk about my own things and some of my health problems, but can you relate to the following? What's the point? I always screw this up eventually. I'll start over on Monday again. I never finish anything I start. I ultimately fail at every diet I set out to do. Life is just too hectic right now. I can't lose weight. Or maybe I'm just meant to be fat. So if you can relate to any of those things, if those are things that you have said to yourself, put a 1 in the comments. Hey, Jason. So the myth is really that you need motivation to finally start getting results and moving towards your goal. And everybody wants motivation. And I know Jason, you're just Jason's watching right now, and he's one of my clients. And about a month ago, I was super motivated. I was going to join the gym. I was working out, and I did it for 3 weeks. I was working out and lifting weights 3 times a week. And then my motivation went away. We went on vacation for a week. I was out of my routine, and I've really been having a hard time getting back on track the last few weeks. I haven't lifted weights for 2 weeks because my motivation is gone. That initial push that you have to start something, the initial push that you have to start a diet or get healthy or go to the gym, it fades. Okay. So you need to understand that motivation is not actually what you need to start getting results. The reality is that if you're waiting for motivation to kick in or to kick you in the ass before you get started or before you get back on track, if you've fallen off track, you'll be stuck in the same place a year from now. So if I don't actually get over, my resistance and whatever's holding me back from joining the gym in 1 year, I'm still going to be in exactly the same spot, in exactly the same spot. So you need discipline. Okay. Motivation's not actually what you need. You know, motivation is not what keeps you consistent. Motivation is not what is going to get you results. And motivation is not what's going to keep 40 plus pounds off long term. It's also not what is going to get me to the gym. I actually just need to kick myself in the rear end and I need to go. And I need to be disciplined about it. I need to say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to the gym and I just need to do it. And it's the same thing for you guys. It's not about motivation. Okay. It's about having strategies that you can use that are easy, that fit into your life, even when life is hectic, even when, you're having a bad day, even when you don't want to do it. That's what you need. And the reason why you should listen to me is because I'm an expert in weight loss and nutrition for men over 40. My approach is simple and it's sustainable. And it doesn't actually require a lot of motivation. It requires planning, it requires some strategy, it requires a little bit of your time, but it's really simple, okay? And it doesn't rely only on motivation. So I've helped hundreds of men take control of their health, lose weight, and keep it off. And we don't count calories. There's no extreme exercise. There's no complicated meal plans. It's just simple and it's sustainable. Okay. Any man can do it. This is the guy who is the reason why I work with men over 40. He's my best friend. His name is David. About 6 years ago, I helped him lose his belly fat, get his health under control, and he really inspired me to start working with men over 40. So now all I do is work with men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And this guy is the reason why. So here are 5 steps to break the cycle of self sabotage for good. Step 1 is don't try to change everything at once. This is a really, really, really important step. If you try and change everything all at once, you are probably going to fall on your face. Okay. Most guys I talk to go too hard, too fast. They get a gym membership. They're lifting weights 3 or 4 times a week. They've got a personal trainer. They're changing their diet. They're restricting calories. They're trying to cut out all their carbs. And your brain resists big change. So when you try to go too hard, too fast, your brain has a lot of resistance. It's kind of like for me, when I say I'm going to go and join the gym is scary for me. Okay. I don't know anything about lifting weights. I don't know anything about the machines at the gym. I feel uncomfortable in that situation. And so for me, going to the gym, it's like my brain is resisting it. My brain resists it at every moment. Every day I drop my son off at high school, and every single day I say I'm going to go and join the gym, and I don't do it. Okay, so if you are trying to make things more complicated than they have to be, if you're trying to, get that gym membership and maybe you feel uncomfortable at the gym like I do, or you're trying to change every single thing that you're eating, you're like, okay, I'm completely getting rid of processed food, and I'm just going to eat healthy. Starting tomorrow, that's it. And you can't manage it, or you do it for a few days and it's just too much, that's because your brain is just resisting this change. It's too much change all at once. So what you have to do is think of foundation over perfection. You need to deal with basic things. You need to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to focus on having a healthy breakfast. I'm going to just change my breakfast, and that's all you need to do. And oftentimes when I work with my clients, that is the first thing we do. We just change one thing at a time so that you can build habits, you can build a solid foundation, and you don't actually have to be perfect. You can start seeing results, you can improve your health without being perfect. So ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do consistently this week? Pick it. It could just be drinking more water. I spoke to somebody that I'm going to start working with in 2 weeks earlier today. And, we left off a couple weeks ago. And I said, before we start working together, one thing you can do is just actually drink as much water as you need every day. And, he started doing that. And he just making that one small change, just making sure he's getting enough water and that he's hydrated, has made him feel better in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so pick one small thing, whatever it is for you, one foundational thing, and do it. Just one thing. It's going to help move the needle. Okay, so winning equals consistency, not intensity. Picking something and being consistent with it is more important than being complete, going all in, having this level of intensity that you're not going to be able to maintain. Step 2 is to get rid of the all or nothing mentality. And you all know the all or nothing mentality. If you've been on a diet, you understand exactly what it is. All or nothing is toxic. So if you start a diet, and for example, maybe keto, you can't have, you can only have X number of carbs a day. And you feel like if you don't do it perfectly all the time, you failed. So you cannot continue on a diet like that forever. And if you are constantly feeling like you're failing, you are never going to be able to get results. So I always tell my clients progress lives really in the gray zone. It lives in just being consistent most of the time. So even if you're 70% consistent, it's always better than 100% consistent for 3 days. So if you're 70% consistent for 1 month, you're going to be way better off than if you do keto for 3 days or you do keto for a week and then, quote unquote, screw it up and decide that you're just not, you can't do it and you failed. So normalize making slightly better choices even when you're having a bad day. If you have, say you're craving a burger and fries and you go out and have burger and fries, it doesn't mean that your whole day, is ruined and your diet is destroyed. You just make a healthy choice at your next meal and you carry on. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel terrible about it. It's just have a healthy have a healthier choice for your next meal and carry on. Okay. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Step 3 is to stop calling every diet slip up self sabotage. And my clients and I spoke about this past Sunday on our group coaching call. And I wanted to talk about it tonight because just calling slip up self sabotage isn't good. You can also make a place for the things that you like to eat. So if you constantly, slip up and have pizza, for example, or ice cream, or you want bread, instead of calling that self sabotage, make room for that in your plan and in your strategy. You can have a piece of pizza. You can have some pasta. You can have bread. You can even have an ice cream if you want to. You can't have it every day, obviously, but you can still eat them. And my clients do. Sometimes my clients want to go to Dairy Queen and they want to have an ice cream. Sometimes they'd like to have a few pieces of pizza. They do it. Do they have ice cream on Monday, pizza on Tuesday, pasta on Wednesday, a sub on Thursday? No, they don't, but they do make room for these things inside of their eating plan so that they don't have this all or nothing mentality, and also so they don't have to call, eating these foods self-sabotage or feel like they're failing because they want to eat those foods. Everybody wants to have food that they like sometimes. Okay, so I really teach my clients something called the SMART carb strategy. You need to make room for your favorite foods. And if your favorite foods are carbs, you need to make room for them. You don't have to completely eliminate everything. And, stop calling every diet slip up self sabotage. Well, if you do eat a piece of pizza or you do have a plate of pasta, that's not you sabotaging your diet or your eating plan. That's you being human. And for those of you who don't know me very well, I love chocolate. I eat chocolate. I don't feel guilty every time I eat chocolate. Sometimes I feel guilty if I eat too much, but you need to make room for it. That's one of the most important things. Okay. Step number 4 is start slow. So, one of the reasons why people feel like they get into this self sabotaging loop is because they start too fast. So, you need to not upend your entire life, okay? You don't need to change absolutely everything at once. And we talked about this in number 1, but you do need to create traction. So, you need to create a few momentum moves or a few small strategies that can give you momentum. They can be small daily actions that build confidence and results. So that could be, like I said before, getting enough water. That could be making sure that you have a protein heavy breakfast. And you can really do that in 15 minutes a day. And if you take 15 minutes a day and you take one momentum move, you take 1 or 2 small things that you can actually do every single day and you do them consistently, those 15 minutes a day are going to change your life. Okay. So if you spend those 15 minutes and you have a protein heavy breakfast and you make sure you get water, it takes what, a minute to fill up your water bottle. To drink 3 water bottles a day, it probably takes, 5 whole minutes of your day. To make sure you have that healthy, solid breakfast takes about 10 minutes. So in 15 minutes a day, if you do those 2 things consistently, that can actually change the trajectory of your health. It can make you feel confident because you're going to start seeing results. Okay. So you don't need motivation. I want to reiterate that. You need a system that makes you feel good early on in this, in this weight loss process. So you don't want to be doing things over and over again and not getting results, or, going hard for a week, feeling like you failed, and then stopping completely. You just need to build small, consistent habits over time that you can maintain in any situation. For example, I have a client right now, him and his wife bought a new house. They're having, they were moving a few hours away. They've been living in a hotel every day. And it's making eating very, very difficult. But the strategies that I teach can really be used anywhere. Okay. So just planning ahead a little bit, making sure that there are some of these basic things in place can, has really prevented this client of mine from backsliding on his weight loss. He's been able to maintain his weight and even lose some weight, even though he's in a completely chaotic home situation right now. And step five, and this is for men, especially men in their, especially in their 50s and 60s, working out too hard can sometimes be what is causing this self sabotage. Okay. Self sabotage in the way that it's preventing you from getting weight loss results. So, more workouts don't automatically mean more fat loss. And I'm seeing more and more, many men are sabotaging themselves by going to the gym too much. Okay. They're overtraining on a broken metabolism, or they're working out, for example, 3 days a week, and they're cutting their calories, and they have high inflammation, and they've got all this other stuff going on. And so the working out all the time is actually sabotaging their progress. And it can be very, very stressful for you guys when you're putting in all this effort, you are working out harder, which is probably what your doctor told you to do, which is what your, gym trainer told you to do. It's what you read on the internet. You've got to build muscle, you got to go to the gym. But if your body is stressed already and you're not getting proper nutrition, hard workouts end up just being another stress on your body and can actually prevent you from losing weight. So for men over 40, to really end this cycle of self sabotage, sometimes working out is something that you have to give up for a little while to give your body a break. And sometimes you can just really optimize your nutrition and things are going to work out if you love going to the gym. But a lot of times I see people needing to step back from overtraining so that they can actually start getting results. Okay. So it seems so counterintuitive. People look at me like I have two heads when I say this. They think I'm crazy, but your workouts might actually be sabotaging your progress. So it's something to really consider. And to be honest with you, the reason why those workouts are sabotaging your progress, or they can be, is because they're not addressing these four things. So if you're a man in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, these are the four things that are keeping your weight stuck. Number one is muscle mass. Number two is hormones. Three is metabolism, and four is inflammation. So if you go to the gym and you're eating well, yes, your muscle mass is good. You're probably gaining muscle mass, and that's fine. But going to the gym is not going to address your hormones. It is not going to fix your metabolism, and it's also not going to reduce inflammation. Sometimes it can actually increase inflammation if you're putting more stress on your body. So you have to really, really think about that. And these are two questions that I really, really insist you ask yourself. Number one, is what I'm doing working? Because if what you're doing is not working, why are you doing it? If you are going to the gym 3 times a week, you're cutting your calories, 1,800 calories a day, you're walking, you're playing golf, you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, you're eating clean, you're cutting carbs, and it's not working, your weight's not moving, then why are you doing it? You have to ask yourself the question, is what I'm doing working? If you've been doing this stuff for a long period of time and it's not working, something else is going on and you need to change your strategy. And the second question that you have to ask yourself is, can I keep doing this for the rest of my life? Because if you can't, and some people can do carnivore for the rest of their life. If that's the way you want to live your life, that's fine. Most of us don't want to. I know I personally wouldn't want to. I like eating vegetables. I like having my chocolate once in a while. I like having a piece of cake and a sandwich. So if you can't keep doing whatever thing you're doing right now, or whatever diet you're planning on trying for the rest of your life, it's probably not going to work. You need a sustainable solution. You need a sustainable strategy. Okay. So going on another restrictive diet that you can't sustain is really what is going to sabotage your progress. It's going to prevent you from losing weight and keeping it off. You need a sustainable system and you need a sustainable plan. So again, can I keep doing this for the rest of my life? You have to ask yourself that question. And it doesn't have to be, can you do this every day of your life? It just, you just have to want or be able to eat in this way for maybe 80 or 90% of the time. It doesn't have to look perfect, but you need to be able to do it for most of the time. And really in my program, the Belly Fat Fix, that's what I do. It's a sustainable approach that fits into your life and gets your results long term. It can't just be, some cookie cutter diet that works for everybody. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different schedule, different shifts at work, different family, different things they like to eat and not like to eat. So it has to be an approach and a strategy that fits into your specific life. And the good news really is you don't need to starve yourself. You just need to eat strategically. My clients eat strategically all the time. They eat well. These are pictures of a couple of them are my meals in the top corner. The rest of them are meals that my clients eat, while losing 50 pounds or more. You can eat regular food. You never have to feel full. You can enjoy yourself. Okay. You can eat at a restaurant. You really just need to learn how to eat right and address the four things that are keeping you stuck, right? And those four things, again, were your muscle mass, your hormones, inflammation, and your metabolism. So when you're a man over 40, you have to make sure that you're addressing those four things. And you just need to learn how to eat right. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to cut out all carbs. You can eat at a restaurant. You can have a piece of birthday cake once in a while, but you have to learn how to eat right. And you need to address those four things that are keeping you stuck. And if you don't, you can go to the gym every day of the week. You can cut your calories all you want. And I work with guys who are in that exact same position. You are not going to lose the weight. Okay. So here's my contact information. If this stuff resonated with you, if you want to talk to me a little bit about your particular situation and how I can help you, please do reach out. I'm happy to get on a call with you and help you get some clarity on why your weight is so stubborn. If you're doing everything right, especially, please contact me. It's always interesting for me to talk to people who are quote unquote doing everything right and help them understand and enlighten them to the real reasons why their weight isn't actually moving, and the things that you can do to get things moving and get the results that you want. So let me just stop my share. That's it. I don't think too many people are watching live, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to answer, or sorry, feel free to ask and I'll answer. But the most important thing that I want to get across in this training is that everybody self-sabotage. Everyone sabotages themselves. I do it, I'm doing it right now as far as going to the gym and getting strong. I can't take the first step and get in the gym and buy the membership. So today I told myself, okay, you have resistance to doing that. What are two small things that you can do every day that don't require you going to the gym? And the two things I decided to do was, okay, I can do push-ups. So, I'm going to do 5 push-ups every time I leave every time I walk out the front door. So, this morning before I brought my son to school, I did 5 push-ups. And when I went to pick him up, I did 5 push-ups, and I also went for a walk. And for right now, that's going to have to be enough. But that consistency of doing that over time will hopefully build momentum so that I can actually get myself to the gym, get the gym membership, and start doing what I set out to do. Because the reality is I'm not motivated right now. And sometimes you're not going to feel motivated. Most of the time you're not going to feel motivated. Most of the time you just have to have strategies and systems in place that you can do easily every single day. And that's it. And you need to just do them to the point where it's easy and you don't even think about it. So for me, it's like, I just need to get in the habit of doing those things. And for my clients, it's the same. It's you need to get in the habit of drinking the water. You need to get in the habit of having that good breakfast. You need to get in the habit of doing these little things that are actually going to get the scale moving down, get you feeling better. And once you start feeling a bit better, then maybe there is more motivation to continue. But at the beginning, it's not necessarily about motivation, it's more about systems. And you need the systems in place so that when you're having a bad day, or your kid's sick, or you had that horrible day at work, or you got in a fight with your husband or your wife, you're not reaching for a bag of chips and eating it, right? You have the system set up, and it's a mindless thing. It becomes this mindless thing to be healthy. Just like right now, maybe it's a mindless thing to reach for the bag of chips. You need to make healthier choices an easy thing to do. And when you have the proper systems, you can do that. When you have a little bit of planning, you can do that. When you have somebody checking in on you and you have accountability, you can do that. So please know that self-sabotage is kind of a not a great way to put it, because as long as you're not on some very restrictive diet, you don't actually have to feel like you're sabotaging your progress. If you have an ice cream, you're not sabotaging your progress. You just had an ice cream and you're human. So carry on. Make a healthier choice tomorrow morning if you had that ice cream after dinner. It doesn't mean that you've completely failed, and you have to get past the negative self talk, and you have to move to a place of, I can do this. And make your goals small so that you feel good about them. You can get up in the morning and have 2 or 3 glasses of water. That's something easy. So just make that your goal. Get some momentum going, get things moving, feel good about yourself, and don't try to change everything at once. Okay. And, you know, everybody, and I don't want to call it falls off the wagon, because it's just not, everybody is going to have a piece of cake once in a while. Everybody is going to indulge a little bit. And that doesn't mean that you're sabotaging your weight loss or your progress. If you're doing it 3 times a day, then, you're probably not going to get the results that you want. But doing those things once in a while, it's not going to make it or break it. So if you're on a really, really strict diet right now, or you're thinking about starting one, you should probably think twice about it and then ask yourself that question: can I do this for the rest of my life? Okay. Because if you can't sustain it, it'll be hard. You'll lose weight, and then you're probably going to go off the deep end, and you're going to want to eat all the stuff you couldn't eat on that diet, and you'll probably gain the weight back. That's what I see all the time. So just find a sustainable solution. My solution is very sustainable, it's very realistic. So please reach out to me if you want to talk to me about what working with me looks like. Happy to chat a little bit. But anyway, it's 8:30. I'm going to go and put my son to bed. I hope everybody has a great evening. And if you're watching this in the replay, still feel free to reach out with any questions that you have. Good night.